Alright guys, and welcome to the 46th episode of Below the Bar.
In this episode, expect to find out why retirement is a psyop to keep you employed, how Eddie navigates a holiday in the sun,
And who you wouldn't want to bump into in a bar in Lanzarote.
Let's get into it. Alright, ready? Don't need to
We don't need to
listen
clap.
to the audio. How fantastic.
Right, we're in. Hello.
Hello and welcome to the Brummy Brothers podcast in a extremely different location with different audio equipment and different filming equipment. Also, everything's different.
I feel naked without my
I know,
microphone.
yeah. That many, I have to use my hands for gesticulation
for other
or other means.
Yeah.
So what we're gonna go off about today, Biggin?
So we're going to do 2 condensed 30-minute episodes. So it's past now.
Yeah.
So we'll try and squeeze this one into half an hour.
Okay.
And then next week, you'll get basically the same,
Yeah.
but we're actually filming it directly after this.
Yeah. So if we seem a little bit more threaders on the next episode next week, that's why. Because I still haven't eaten.
I'm burnt out. Yeah, we've had a very weird, convoluted day. We won't get too sappy.
No,
but
we will.
Things
Probably-
haven't gone our way.
Probably worth giving a slight bit of context.
Yeah, go
Is
on
it?
then.
I don't know. Yeah. So I'm worrying as well today is that I've got the notes. So this could go anywhere really. So this morning we started strong actually.
We did.
Went for a
Because
10k,
but we-
fasted in the sunrise.
We were in control of that. This is
Exactly.
always the case.
And it happened.
We deliver
Shock.
on our end. We saw the people not delivering on their end.
Yeah, so the plan was to go to this place called Greens, which is about 100 metres away. And it's a brunch place, and go and get some breakfast after the run. Lovely, nice little Saturday morning. However, our Saturday morning plans got kiboshed pretty early. Found out this Greens place just wasn't open, which was not fantastic. So basically this meant that we didn't have any food for about 4 hours.
Yeah, basically we went on a wild goose chase trying to find somewhere that served kind of decent food before fucking midday in Lanzarote. Apparently that doesn't exist.
Yeah, everywhere was like, oh, we don't open till 11 a.m. And it was about 9, and we were starving, Hank Marvin.
That's good.
So yeah, I mean that was good, and then obviously we've kind of just been working for the rest of the afternoon, and now you find us.
It's a Saturday. That's
Exactly,
good.
that's good. We just
Yeah,
never
so
stop.
so by the way, we haven't done any relaxing on this holiday, so that's good.
No, we've been here about 4 days now, and still haven't relaxed once. But now you find us on the evening before Ed's last.
Yeah, I'm back
Hurrah.
to the UK tomorrow, where I can shade dwell in peace.
Yeah, Ed's just been basically in the grot or in a hoodie.
Well, I've just been wearing this in
Yeah.
30-degree heat.
Yeah, which
That's
has been
good,
good.
innit?
And I hopefully have a little bit more colour than usual. Anyway.
Well, we haven't explained where we are.
That's
We're
true,
on the
yeah.
balcony of your grot, aren't
Yeah,
we?
this is the grot I've booked out for the month, and we are on the veranda, which is quite nice actually.
It's lovely. It gets loads of sun, which is
Yeah,
shit for me.
Great for me. I've been basically just baking in between work for
No,
the last half
I've
an
been
hour.
stuck inside behind where the camera's placed now, like fucking Nelson Mandela.
Yeah, and let us know actually if in the comments if you are watching, if there is a tangible difference in between both audio and visuals for today, because obviously we're using pretty travel kit effectively.
So this is a much easier setup.
Yeah.
So we filming on my iPhone and we're using the DJI
portable mics
clip-on
that we
mics.
use for content.
So if the audio's good and the camera's good, we'll chin off our old setup because this is ironically a lot easier.
A lot easier, and if it's better, then fine. Cool. Okay, so we're going to go through the segments as usual today. There's no actual meat of the episode because, like Eddie said, it's going to be half an hour. So we're going to go through Helmet of the Week, underrated, overrated, and then Reason to be Cheerful.
Yes.
To finish.
And then it'll be the same next week. But we're gonna explore. This is my narrative device. We're going to explore the holiday through the lens of the segments.
Nice. Okay, I like it. Yeah. So the first segment being Helmet of the Week.
Helmet of the Week. What is it? I forget you've got the notes.
It's the Foghorn.
Oh, mate.
Yeah.
Foghorn, terrible ball knowledge,
Leghorn.
fatty bum bum.
Yeah.
So basically, this is a certain individual, and I hope he's not listening because I don't want him in our.
I don't think
I
he
don't
is.
want him in our viewership. To be honest,
I don't think he knows what podcasts are.
Well,
be honest.
he doesn't know what football is, even though he likes to talk about it.
Yeah,
continually.
and he played for
Right, so this is an individual that I'd like to say we met. We didn't meet him. He accosted us in a bar.
His presence was very much forced upon us, really, wasn't it?
Yeah, so we were watching Liverpool get knocked out of the Europa League.
Which was fun for Eddie as a Liverpool fan.
Which was fun for me. And we were because I'm not drinking at the minute, so you haven't been drinking either.
No.
So we were sober in a bar watching Liverpool get knocked out of the Europa League.
Not ideal.
Which, you know, on the face of it, isn't great in of itself.
Yeah.
It was only made worse by this individual who then decided to just talk at us, didn't he? It was the manner in which he did it, which made it stand out.
It was, but it wasn't like just one innings. He like tried it about halfway through the second half, didn't he?
Yeah.
He like gave us a little look behind, saw that we were English, and obviously on the table behind him, and his missus, who he was sat with, who we'll get into, wasn't giving him any joy about Gakpo and Salah and all the other shit he was talking about.
So he had
to engage us.
Yeah, he had to air his frustration.
And then we just sort of laughed him off and didn't engage. And so he's like, oh, try them again at the end of the second half. Obviously then they'd been knocked out, so there was more to be threaders about. And then he turned around and accosted us.
So just to paint you a mental picture, this bloke I would describe as looking a bit like that TikToker Aaron Hunt.
Oh yeah.
But Aaron Hunt is actually quite a sound bloke.
Yeah, and in better shape.
And in better shape. This bloke was like all the worst parts of Aaron Hunt, in that he was kind of like your stereotypical overweight northerner gobshite.
Yeah, he was a gobshite.
So I think he was from in and around Leeds, but he supported Liverpool, obviously, because Leeds is shit.
The bullshit, though.
And like you said, he made these comments about Liverpool that kind of fell on deaf ears because he was with his missus who was playing Candy Crush on a phone.
Yeah, he just didn't give a shit.
And he didn't like that.
And he was sinking drink after drink, just getting more and more fucking irate and more and more pissed.
And ultimately, his ball knowledge wasn't being venerated by his missus, and he didn't like that.
He didn't like that at all.
So obviously, as he then said, he had to direct it at us at the end of the game when his kind of anger peaked.
Yeah, his anger did peak, and for a good 25 minutes, he was on one, wasn't he?
Yeah, well,
it's
he
mad
said
as well,
25 minutes, it was 25 minutes, but he basically went into a 25-minute pre-prepared lecture about how Jurgen Klopp is overrated, and that Steven Gerrard is the answer to Liverpool's managerial woes. And then he compared his own footballing ability to Steven Gerrard. It was quite the escalation.
Couple things to unpack there. So those two initial points about Gerrard and Klopp, both are just not held by anyone in the footballing world.
No.
Right. So anyone who knows what they're talking about football knows that Klopp's pretty much a genius and Gerrard's a shit manager, was a good footballer. That's pretty much accepted, in the grand scheme of things.
What was his rationale behind Gerrard being the best replacement for Klopp? I can't quite remember because I had zoned out after about a minute.
Just that the midfield of Liverpool was shit and they needed coaching
right, yeah, that was it. Yeah,
the best,
again,
best
it
in
goes
the game.
back to this. Well,
if you've listened to the 2 episodes before, I think it was, when we were talking about like coaching and performing being different disciplines, and we actually used this as an example, funnily enough, 2 weeks ago, of Gerrard being an amazing performer and a shit coach because he's not very communicative. I don't know what it is, but there's something that he can't pass over to people, and this guy was using it as the opposite, which obviously we were kind of thinking that's ironic because we just talked about that.
Didn't question him.
No, because that would have enraged
him.
Yeah.
But yeah, so basically he thought just by virtue of Steven Gerrard being a good midfielder, that then meant he could coach Liverpool's current midfield to being better.
Yeah, unless he's going to put himself in midfield, then he's not really going to make much difference.
Yeah, so that fell on deaf ears. And then he started gobbing off about how Sven-Göran Eriksson shouldn't have played Gerrard and Lampard at the same time, which is... I mean, that's an argument as old as time, isn't it? That's old hat now.
I know, yeah. You can't be. That's again. Like when was that? Like 2008 or something?
Yeah,
I mean that.
Fucking sad.
Yeah.
Get with the real
world.
Get
over it.
Anyway, but the best part of the conversation, which kind of is why he's helmet of the week, is that somehow he went from talking about Steven Gerrard to then comparing his own footballing ability to Steven Gerrard.
But it's not even like he was an accomplished youth footballer. This was when he was 13. Anyone, basically anything below 16 years old, you can't cite that as brilliance, can you?
No. So this bloke basically went. So it was the same problem with England. Steven Gerrard, Frank Lampard, the same player. Shouldn't play them in the same position. That's a bit like me in the Northwest Under-13 League.
Yeah,
because
me
and Ricard were the same player. Ricard, like we're on first name terms.
Ricardo was.
Who's Ricardo? Yeah. I don't know who he is. Yeah. You don't know who he is because he's shit.
No one in Europe's ever heard of him.
Yeah, no one in Europe's ever heard of him. But yeah, so basically our mate Foghorn and Ricardo were the same player, weren't they? Obviously, in that infamous under-13s Northwest team that everyone always talks about.
Who went on to be great.
He went on to be great, up there with, Pep's Barcelona team, etc. Yeah.
Treble winning Man United.
So unfortunately, because Foghorn was the year below Ricardo, he had to slot in at left back, and then the team wasn't the same because they both couldn't flourish.
And that was exactly the same as England in the golden era
at the World Cup.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was a mental. And obviously he was saying, and again, like this had sort of built over the conversation, and we were just immediately checked out. And it's funny because we were both basically just nodding and smiling at him, and then he was continuing to lay this on quite thick. And his missus, after finishing her games of Candy Crush and Canton or Raps, had been like, oh shit, he's done it again, kind of realised.
Yeah, and to be fair to her, she took a bullet for us, because she took him off our hands.
Took his bullet.
Yeah, because otherwise he would have just stayed there and talked at us all night.
Yeah, because she wasn't giving him any Gakpo feedback.
Yeah, and she certainly wasn't fucking giving him any head when they got back to the grot.
Because if she was, I mean, that's horrendous, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because it was a mismatch, let's say that.
Oh, he's not getting any, lad, because ultimately she shredders with him.
Well, he was going to be bouncing. He'd sunk a Red Bull and fucking...
That was a red flag as well. About 4 minutes before the final whistle, he literally necked a pint of vodka Red Bull.
Yeah.
And it was about, 9:45 at this point.
And they were going back to their hotel. So I can only imagine what happened when they got back at the hotel with him bouncing around the room, just gobbing off about football. Yeah. She's threaders, AirPods in, like that.
Fuming and caffeinated.
Yeah.
She's bored and tired. That's a lethal combination.
Not a good combination, that, yeah.
Quite the juxtaposition, that.
Exactly. I mean, so I don't know what happened there, but I assume it's not intimate.
But yeah, congratulations, Foghorn. You've surpassed our expectations and you cemented yourself as a helmet.
Yeah. So that was like a couple of days ago, and yeah, I mean, he didn't paint himself in a great light.
It's either underrated.
You've charmed me.
Or it's overrated.
Well, that was fucking dreadful.
Underrated, overrated. So this week, we're looking at the concept of retirement.
Yes, this has become quite pertinent.
Yeah, and there's probably a few listening.
Over the past few days. Yeah, well, it kind of, because we're overlooking a lot of apartments, we've probably got some second-hand listens here.
Yeah, who fall into this bracket, no less.
So fundamentally, retirement is a scam, isn't it? Really?
It's a psyop.
It is a psyop.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah. I don't know if we've covered this before, actually, on the podcast.
I think
we do have quite strong views about retirement.
It's bollocks, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because having seen how permanently fucking bereft all these old couples are, it's not really something you'd want to buy into if kind of that was on the front of the brochure for your pension. Is it?
You work for 45 years.
Yeah,
threaders at that, because you're like, oh well, I'm threaders at my job, but like I'll do it. I'll like suck this up for the reward, the carrot of them retiring.
Yeah,
and a lot of that retiring and moving to a sunny place. That's kind of what people admire and think, oh, that's what I'll do. Sweet.
And it's also an outdated concept now, because a lot of people younger than retirement age now won't feasibly be able to do that with their pension anyway. No,
I know, but I mean, if we figure it as like the actual concept itself.
Yeah,
because practically, yeah, you're right. Like, there's not going to be that much of a retirement fund for a lot of people. Sorry to burst in bubble, but
yeah, if you weren't already aware of that, then yeah, sorry to break the bad news.
Whatever.
One of the cocoon down there.
I think, if anything, like the retirement age for people our age is going to be
like 80
lots older, so like 75, whatever.
Well, the good news is, if you don't want to retire, then you don't have a choice anyway, because you won't be able to.
Yeah, exactly.
So
this is why it's going to fall on deaf ears. But anyway, we've been walking around, and Lanzarote, where we are, so like in Lanzarote, in the kind of village we are in, or whatever it is.
The little resort. It's basically like the cocoon, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's where all the retirees go. So I think there's a mystical land somewhere else on the island where young people who do triathlons and cycling go.
Yeah.
That we haven't gone to, which is good.
Which is good. I mean, that's my prior research.
And we've ended up in the sunny retirement home, effectively.
Exactly. So it's not ideal, and we are basically just surrounded. Whenever we go for scran or whatever, there's just a shitload of pensioners, and the observation that's come from that, they're all just sat there, right? They sat there with their missus, and they're just kind of just silent.
You imagine the scenes. We're in a weird kind of like English bar, with like wooden panelling and some strange kind of like Navajo Indian mural on the wall. But we're in Lanzarote. It's full of pensioners, and there's no one speaking.
Everyone's sunburned.
Everyone's nursing a pint, and no one's talking.
Yeah, so it seems like Lanzarote is basically catered for like shitload of carbs because everywhere's Italian, right? Shitload of beer,
Yeah.
and obviously sun. And that's the three prongs that people can offer.
The trifecta of Lanzarote.
Yeah,
Hangover, obesity, sunburn.
Yeah, exactly. So ideal, really, in terms of the Venn diagram of where you want to be.
It's ideal for me.
Not great for
Don't
Ed.
drink. Don't go in the sun. Extremely carb sensitive.
Yeah,
Good, that, innit?
Shit metabolism.
That's why I've only come for 4 days.
Yeah, I'm here for three more weeks, which is fine because I love the sun, and I can ignore old people. Eddie gets ready.
I get to
But these again, I mean, the concept of working all your life being threaders with that, and then getting to an end state which has been the promised land, effectively, which you've kind of been looking at and thinking, oh, this is great. And then it not delivering on your expectations. I mean, imagine that.
But this is the dangerous thing about retirement. You're too far in then
Oh yeah,
because you've waited all your life for this.
yeah. But what I'm saying is, we've seen now behind the curtain.
Oh yeah. Well, it's
And
the equivalent of taking the red pill, isn't it? We've
Yeah.
red pilled the shit out of retirement.
Yeah, and we figured that's probably not worth it because, basically, these people, the reason they're here is they've got fuck all to do.
Yeah.
'Cause-
Because they hate each other's company that much. They actually have to go abroad on a quote unquote holiday to make their life, tolerable. Which isn't great, is it?
Not really, but what they do on these holidays isn't really, like, it's not communicating. Like the things humans get joy from.
Yeah.
Right, you think about it from like an objective perspective, communicating with each other.
Love and connection.
Well, I was gonna say like movement,
Yeah.
like physical exercise, which there's a hormonal response to. Obviously, yes, being in the sun, so you've only got one of them there.
But it's like
there's no communication.
But it's the wrong type of UV exposure. It's
Why?
like an extreme version of, to
Well,
the point where
yeah.
it's unhealthy.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they're
So even the one that they've
taking
got,
it into the
even
extreme.
exactly, even the one that they've got, they've not really nailed.
They've not, because they are basically just permanently sat in it, getting red.
Yeah,
It's
And
mad.
As we've said, therefore not talking to each other and not moving.
Yeah. And then
There's
they
a
get
distinct lack of balance.
yeah, and because everything opens, like we said, late, they get to 6 p.m. and they go for scran, and then they're again ploughing themselves with carbs they haven't moved to earn.
Yeah.
And then getting pissed to wake up then at 10 hungover with a headache.
It's just
to go and do the same again.
Vicious cycle, isn't it? Really.
Yeah.
This is why I'm always quite critical of the kind of beach holiday as a concept, because I mean, like, younger people do this, but it's not their entire existence. They just kind of save up all year to do it for a week.
But the thing is, you're extremely biased on this because you can't sit in the sun. And you
I know.
hate that idea.
But I mean, like, even people that can sit in the sun do it to an unhealthy degree.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't think anyone would argue it's healthy. And that's the idea. It just, it's a nice feeling, I think, is the only thing.
I obviously can't relate, can I? 'Cause
Yeah, well, exactly. So it's the only argument is it feels relaxing. Like there's a relaxing concept or sort of relation to the sun on your skin for most people, I think.
Right. I'll have to take your word for it, because
Yeah,
unfortunately.
because when the sun hits your skin, it's instant panic.
Yeah, well, you've noticed I have like an inbuilt kind of.
Oh yeah, you know if you're ever walking your dog in the heat and there's a like a car that's creating shadow, they'll like lean into and pull you into that. Ed's gen like that, so like he will walking around.
I've got an inbuilt shade safety mechanism.
100%. So we'll like be stopped, just like doing some like checking where we're going or whatever. And if Ed stood in the sun for anything longer than 5 seconds, he'll just like naturally
Gravitate towards a tree.
migrate towards a tree. It's mental, mate. I've never seen anything like it. It's fantastic. I mean, it's a inbuilt safety mechanism.
25 years I've taken to hone that skill.
Yeah, and there you go. So exactly. So you can imagine a holiday where the prime draw is the sun is not ideal for you.
Why are so many people with Celtic bloodline here?
That's interesting as well, isn't
We
it?
noticed that today, didn't we?
Like loads of Welsh, Irish,
and
Scottish, who are all fair-skinned.
Yeah, Indian. Like I accept the fact I'll never tan, and that kind of any prolonged UV exposure is detrimental to my skin health.
Yeah,
A lot of these people are in denial.
exactly. I mean, it's a really weird thing. My biggest issue, and the reason I've never really actually bought into the whole retirement thing, is the sacrifice of your younger, more, let's face it,
Better years.
optimal years for a bit more for a return on like a shit investment at the end.
Well, let's use just an example. So we've come to Lanzarote. We've kind of like cycled or ran every morning.
Yeah,
We've been about.
yeah.
got our steps in. You know, we've been active. I mean, we've still done all the same stuff they do. So you've been tanning. We've gone out to the same restaurants they eat in an evening.
Well, you can't actually tan for much longer than I've tanned for today.
Exactly.
I've probably done a good 2 hours today.
Yeah.
And you can't really do more than that.
Well,
you
just be a bit
burn.
cooked. You just be a bit cooked, wouldn't you?
Yeah, and burn. No one likes burning. You get in bed and it's fucking horrible feeling. Like,
Oh, it's stinking.
shower, mate. Oh,
or like when you press against something or like knock it.
Yeah.
It's horrible. Believe me, I'd know.
Yeah, so you don't want that. So like the moderated amount of time I've spent in the sun is ideal. And like you say, we've still managed to do the rest of it.
But because they're old and they've waited all their lives for this, they feel compelled. But they're kind of doing it out of necessity and bitterness.
Something they just need something to do.
They
but
need
my
something
point
to
is,
do, but they're too old to do kind of the running and the cycle.
Well, that's it. Yeah. My point is a bit more in terms of just in general to retirement. Like we're talking about like retirement in fucking Lanzarote, but I'm talking about in general. I think the concept of sacrificing a load of years, and you sacrifice a lot of like health opportunities, a lot of travel opportunities, a lot of stuff that you could have an opportunity to do when you're younger. For okay, I'm going to save. I'm going to not put money into I don't know this ski trip when I'm fucking 30 because I'm going to go and do that when I'm 65. It makes no sense to me because objectively you can't enjoy the ski trip as much when you're 65. Because you'll do one day and you'll be fucking written off for 3 days.
Well, no, yeah, we've spoken about this. There are kind of time pressure.
Oh yeah, this is die with zero.
Time pressure situations in your life that are like those windows do close.
Yeah.
And the longer you the more emphasis you put on retirement, the more you neglect these kind of time pressure situations.
Yeah. So I mean, Bill Perkins talks about. He calls it chapters of your life, doesn't he? Where you think about single you is one chapter. Then you with like a missus before kids is another chapter, and then kids is another chapter. And so there are things you can enjoy and do in those chapters of your life that you can't then do when that chapter ends. So you single you has to do the travelling, do the lads' holidays, and all the rest of it.
Yeah. So but if you go straight from kind of education into like the 9 to 5 pension retirement mindset, you've missed so many chapters of your life in your kind of 20s and 30s there that you can't then replicate when you're kind of like 50, 60, 70.
So the trip to Cancun, right, with the lads when you're 25 is a very different experience to the trip to Cancun with your missus. Same place with your missus when you're 45. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's the same place, same holiday, but completely different experience.
But if you did try to do that at 70, look how fucking weird you would be. It'd be like Dirty Grandpa.
Well, exactly.
You know the film with Robert De Niro?
Yeah.
Like the whole reason that film is funny because it basically riffs on the idea we're talking about.
Yeah.
The idea that you can only do certain things at certain periods in your life. Yeah. So that's funny because he's kind of doing the whole spring break thing at like 80.
Well, exactly. And that's an extreme example, isn't it? But you've all been in clubs, people listening, all been in clubs with that like 40-year-old who's a little bit too old. And it feels weird.
And they mean well, but like just by virtue of them kind of being that age, they're out of place.
And they're there because they haven't got what they wanted out of that experience when they were younger.
Exactly. Yeah.
So I think the thing to take away from that is create some urgency within where you are in your current existence.
Yeah, 100%. So don't put all your eggs in the pension retirement basket. Remember that there are things that kind of you can only do while you're this age, and that you should probably do them, even if they're not kind of like you've pinned all your hopes and dreams on it. Do it for the sake of the fact that you might regret it when you're older.
If you haven't
if
done
you don't.
it. Yeah, exactly. So it's a really kind of thought-provoking and perspective-inducing thought, because like, fucking hell, if there's this, trips are always a good example, but you can use it for anything really. If there's this trip that you literally objectively cannot do when you're in a different phase of life, then not doing it is you're never going to experience that, because I don't know if people believe in afterlives, but this is when you're here, so let's fucking make the most of that.
Yeah,
it's mad.
And then a good kind of thought exercise actually would be to write down trips that you could feasibly go on, and then categorise them in terms of when is the latest possible time that you could go on those trips.
Yeah.
So
like trips you would like to go on.
Ski holidays, like lads' holidays. Kind of like, I don't know, a fucking canal boat holiday. Do you know what I mean? You can do a canal boat holiday when you're 80.
Yeah.
You can't do a ski holiday when you're 80.
Exactly, so prioritise accordingly.
Yeah, again, it's another extreme example, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, like one of my goals in the next couple of years is to take my dad skiing, because he hasn't done that yet, because he's a tight ass. He probably won't do that. He's getting to the point where he won't be able to do it, and that'd be a shame. So, yeah, that's one of my sort of goals, and the reason for that is because of having this sort of realisation. What are we doing for time? How are we doing?
7 minutes. I think that's a good time to knock retirement on the head.
Okay, retirement knocked. Okay, so
Reasons to be cheerful.
reason to be cheerful. UK coffee.
Yes.
People.
So as regular listeners of the podcast will know, we do slag off the UK quite a bit.
We do.
We give it a hard time, but
Hold it to a high standard.
But this is why it's important to come away and travel.
Yeah.
Because it makes you grateful for the things at the UK that you take for granted.
Yeah, and I will say, UK coffee isn't amazing.
It's not, but it turns out it's far better than all the shit that's on offer here.
Yeah, it's true. And again, the place we're in might be just a little microcosm of shit coffee.
Well, I understand there's quite a good kind of like triathlon, cycle, kind of
Culture.
like, training camp culture in Lanzarote, just not in the part of the island we're at.
I don't think so. I mean, I think it's more south. Of
Exactly,
the island,
so
suppose.
we're probably just in the wrong place. But even so, you got to play the cards that you fucking dealt.
I know, and it's just the idea that there is obviously a massive amount of people here, and it's a huge holiday destination for people. So why isn't there one shining light of a good coffee shop? Because the coffee shops that are around are toilets.
Like, we're not being prima donnas when we say this. Like, there genuinely isn't a single good cup of coffee within a 5-mile radius of where we're sat now. And we know that because we spent 90 minutes this morning cycling around trying to find one.
Yeah, exactly. This isn't a flippant comment. This is research.
Yeah, this isn't, you went to the end of the road and you didn't see a Costa. This is hours of Google research, 90 minutes worth of cycling.
Also, I'm good at this.
Yeah, this is one of your fucking skills.
This is my trait. I've been handcuffed.
So you squared the gym away within an hour of us being here.
Well, yeah, that's
Four
always.
days in, the coffee still deceives us.
I know. I'll get there by the end of this trip. I'll have to find one somewhere.
But yeah, so basically, what you can take from that is if you're a coffee lover and you reside in the UK, show a bit more love to your local coffee shop.
Particularly if you're in one of the cities. If you're in like Manchester, London, whatever. Like, there is a really good coffee there. Like, Gales is really good.
Yeah, and there's just so
there's
many
endless like bakeries and shit.
So many independent like bakeries and coffee shops, and I think because it's kind of like on trend at the minute to be kind of into coffee and kind of like cute pastries and all that.
Yeah.
People take them for granted.
Yeah.
But you got to remember they don't actually exist everywhere in the world.
No, exactly. Especially if you are in like a city, because I imagine you do get a little bit like, oh, this is just everywhere.
Yeah,
And
it's
you take
it's
it for
almost
granted.
like you take it for granted that there's just a good coffee shop within kind of like 2 streets of your
I know,
location.
especially London.
At any
London's
given
fucking
time,
mental.
it's mental, really, isn't it? The standards.
Yeah. Well, even when we were in Saddleworth up north, like that's got a really couple really good ones,
Yeah.
and that's fucking middle
Which
of
is
nowhere.
mental. It's just in the middle of the fucking
Saddleworth Moor.
Saddleworth Moor, yeah.
So yeah, if you are in the UK and you don't think the coffee's quite as good because it's not as good as Australia, but there's always gonna be one better, then just know that compared to Spain, it's pretty good.
Yes.
Yeah. So count your blessings for that. And I think there's because the running culture has like perpetuated this a little bit, hasn't it?
Yeah, 100%. But this is what I'm kind of struggling with here because like there is evidently quite a fruitful like running culture.
Well, there is
Even
like
when-
cycle routes, there's running routes.
That's what I mean.
everywhere,
But like they just haven't quite squared that circle with like, oh, I've done my run now. Quite like a coffee. Oh, there isn't one.
which is now all the rage in.
Well,
There is a
people now stomach running in the UK just because they know that there's a pastry and a coffee at the end of it.
Correct, including
Including me.
Yeah, there is. I will say, a potential saving grace here.
Yeah.
We've got 200 metres that away is a place which supposedly on Google, and again I'm pretty good at sussing these things out. It looks pretty good. However, we went there this morning and it says closed for the holidays. We don't know which holidays and we don't know when they're back.
Yes, we've come kind of full circle now because this is greens that we were talking about at the start of the podcast, isn't it? So it doesn't matter for me because I'm going home tomorrow and I know I have access to good flat white within kind of like 24-hour period. You, on the other hand, are here for a month, so you're on the kind of proverbial last chopper at Saigon here.
Yeah, so this greens needs to deliver.
Yeah, 'cause
quite literally. Or I'm going to be on Monsters and fucking buzzing off my tits. For a month.
Buzzing off your tits on your own
Yeah.
in a grot.
just spinning on my spinning chair.
That's demonic, that, isn't it,
It
really?
is a
That's
bit
not kind of the wholesome kind of coffee by the seafront vibe that you envisaged when you came out here.
Actually, I did go for a coffee by the seafront. And again, I'll give you the quality isn't fantastic, but just by virtue of it being by the seafront makes it better.
Like a placebo effect,
Exactly,
almost.
yeah,
Like, you
yeah.
could have been drinking fucking muddy water.
Yeah, like Baldrick.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it is mud. Yeah. Cool. I think, is that good? All right,
Oh, we've got
we've
2
got a
minutes
few
to
minutes.
spare.
Okay, sweet. Well, what we've done coffee, you know.
We've got a bonus. What else is there a
bonus
reason
round.
to be cheerful?
We're not good at
We're not really good at spontaneity,
thinking
are
of
we?
these when we've prepped them. So,
Oh, here's a reason to be cheerful. They announced the 2025 London Marathon ballot today. It is
Yes.
officially open until, if you're watching this the week it's released, Friday.
okay, so
this
get
comes
yourself
out
on it.
It comes out Monday. I believe the ballot's open till Friday, so you've got a narrow window to act. As two individuals who've run the London Marathon, highly recommend you sign up for it. Even if you're in the worst shape of your life now, it's not for the best part of another year.
Well, yeah.
You
literally.
can achieve a lot in a year and get yourself to kind of a baseline level of fitness where you can bimble around a marathon.
Yeah, you can. You 100% can, but you do have to respect it, as we know.
But you won't regret it, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, this is
Because
it. I mean,
it is like having spectated Manchester Marathon the other weekend. You can see the gulf in class between kind of like an
organisation,
Abbott's World
yeah,
Series
yeah.
marathon and just like still a good marathon.
it's the second
but
biggest
like,
marathon in the UK, but London is sensational. So if you can, well, you all can get the fucking ballot sent off. So get the ballot sent off, and then if you get a place, it's lucky. So count your blessings and go and fucking smash it.
But yeah, you know, I'm always a big advocate. If you're going to do something, do it properly.
Yeah.
Well, if you're going to do a marathon,
London.
do London, because we're very
Yeah.
fortunate in that if you're from the UK, you know, we live within driving distance of London, and it's one of the best 6 in the world.
And I can't really see one being better than that. Was unbelievable, really, when you think about
but
it. I think if you're
from the UK, you kind of romanticise London anyway to a certain extent. I know some people hate London, but you kind of like
you can appreciate it.
you can appreciate it as kind of being like the centre of
Metropolis.
Well, it was the centre of the world at one point.
Yeah.
So like the fact that you're kind of running 26 miles running through that history, and like there's like the crowds are kind of like people deep. It's not like just a singular
Individual.
one person kind of crowd all the way around.
They're
it's
like 5 or 6 deep.
5 or 6
all the
deep.
way in.
You are running basically through like
A football stadium.
a stadium for 26 miles.
It's
super
unreal. I think if you are going to do it and you're not like a avid runner, what I would try and probably do is just not worry about a time and just plod around it and enjoy it.
Yeah.
No headphones, no nothing like that. Just fucking enjoy it. Because I was hanging out because I was going for a time and had a bit of pressure on myself for that. Self-induced. But then that meant that the experience was probably a little tainted. I probably don't remember like 80% of the course because I was just fucked.
Yeah, well, that's
But-
what you kind of have fond memories of it for different reasons.
Yeah.
Because you kind of achieved the goal that you set out to accomplish.
Yeah.
But then, as you said, as a result of that, you didn't get the kind of like the immersive
You just
experience.
don't really remember much
Well,
of it.
because you
like-
dialed in.
Yeah, exactly. So if you can do it and you're not really bothered, that's fantastic because you can just enjoy it.
But yeah, I think that's
Win.
perfect. We've actually gone over. You got bonus there.
Cool. All right, people. Well, give us some feedback in terms of the setup and everything else like that, and we shall see you in the next one, which we're about to fucking film now.